feels like it's pretty good, so we're good to go. Okay, so we are actually in draft. Dear God, it went quickly already
Oh, good
to get
lord.
in. There's actually been nothing picked, but I mean just like that they got in pretty
We're
quickly.
oh yeah, and Thrall's banned. No Thrall. So apparently, Zool is just banned for the night, as of the last I've heard. So you don't have to worry about seeing Zool. He just came out Tuesday, so not a huge shocker there. Thrall being banned, fantastic laner. They don't want to mess with him. They don't want to mess with his laning. They don't want to mess with the Sundering. Not a bad idea.
Yeah, he's still a very, very strong pick in the current meta, and it's probably a good idea to get him out of the way. Like, honestly, banning Thrall, it could mean that they're looking to do more of like a backline sort of composition with like, maybe they go three ranged,
Mm-hmm.
because he is a threat to the backline. So,
Valar Morghulis taking their time, and it is going to be Zagara. So both the big solo laners
wow.
getting banned out right off the bat.
So an interesting thing is the changes to Rhaegar are live.
Mm-hmm.
They went live on Tuesday, so
Very
likely we
true.
will not see him prioritize the same way. And yeah, I'm not surprised to see Miss Lethal pick
Yep.
up Li Ming here.
Yep. And hopefully they don't miss the lethal on her, because her lethal is very lethal.
And her lethal enables more lethal with
It
those
does.
resets. So
It's really the best of both worlds. So hopefully it just their name won't come to pass. But yeah, I don't expect to see Rhaegar. Well, I mean, there it is. He's still going to be highly prioritized, I think, but I don't think we'll see him banned near as much as before.
I honestly do not think that he is worth a first pick. Obviously, Valar Morghulis could prove me wrong here, but on the nerf to ancestral,
That
I
was
think
that
is
was the
quite
biggest one.
sizable. It's
Yeah.
sizable. It's a lot fewer team fights where that is up.
Mm-hmm.
On some maps, that might not matter as much. Like Blackheart's, maybe not as much. But I don't know. I'm interested to see how it works out, and we're gonna get a Falstad.
Okay.
I don't want to say this and not have it happen, but I almost wonder if we could potentially
Bloodlust.
see Bloodlust. Yeah,
Bloodlust.
it's possible. I mean,
That's
Falstad's pretty good with
if
Bloodlust.
honestly, I think it could work if you build the team around it, especially with the level
No,
20 upgrade to it. It's pretty insane.
honestly, if you're Valor Morghulis right now, the truth is you are not locked into either, and you can look at the enemy team and look at what's available later in the draft and really choose what you want to do.
Yeah.
So it's not necessary. Oh wow.
So
Um,
Sonya Johanna, Sonya really proved her strength this last weekend in the Heroes Spring Regionals. She got a
mhm.
lot of play from some of the top tier teams, and they showed her that despite her nerf a few patches ago, she is still quite good.
No, she's really good, and Europe has known that for a while.
Yep.
She hasn't really dropped off the same way that she did in NA. And that I like this. We got actually the Ladies of Diablo right
Yeah.
now.
And we just need to see
Um,
a Vala.
yeah, and then we would have all of them because we can't. There's no support, right? Yeah, there's no
No,
support,
just Kara's
sadly.
name. So Rainer ban. They obviously don't want Miss
Hmm.
Lethal getting that good sustained damage. And let's talk about their tank for a second. I mean, Johanna, she's in the top three tanks, most picked tanks right now. Very
Yeah.
solid, very durable, lots of CC, great ult. I mean, it's all good. And Miss Lethal says, okay, you haven't picked your tank yet. It's not going to be ETC.
Interesting choice to ban ETC. The Rainer ban from Valor Morghulis is very interesting because they have Sonya.
Mm-hmm.
So if Miss Lethal wanted to go into a Morales, banning Raynor is actually a really great idea because he obviously benefits so much from Stim Drone. Although I'd argue that Medevac is also very good on this map. I
Mm-hmm.
wonder if they weren't. They see that lineup and they go maybe they're going Morales. And wow, Jaina is still on the table. I
Yep.
don't know
So
how
I
I
mean,
missed that. So.
we got the other mage, big mage right now. They take Li Ming. All right, we'll take Jaina. Although, and it's interesting, she's not near as high priority of a pick.
Yeah, I think Jaina still has a ton to offer a
I
team.
think she does too.
But I think that given the Rhaegar nurse, we will see more bans on Zagara and Thrall.
Yes.
And as a result, you may see teams prioritize sustain damage.
Yeah.
And we're going to see Valar Morghulis here with Muradin, who probably at this point was the best remaining tank option.
Oh yeah,
Um,
and the best had actually the highest win rate this last weekend too. Was played in like 80% of the games. He's just a staple tank. He's got an awesome stun. He's got an awesome engage or disengage. He's got the massive health pool. Just an overall fantastic tank.
yeah, and wow, Miss Lethal going to pick up the Tyrande. Do they go
Interesting.
Tyrande Tassadar here, which is still an option?
It is, because they have the damage for it. I mean, Sonya plus Li Ming is enough damage.
Yeah,
So
I
that
actually
they
would.
could take the Tassadar.
I would like it because again, Tassadar are also very good with melee. But they go Greymane.
Interesting. Man, that is a damage-heavy team.
So much
But,
poke TBK. I mean, if
yeah.
you get a stun and a Hunter's Mark down on somebody, you're going to see Li Ming damage coming in. You know,
Whew.
the cocktail from Greymane, or even can choose to go face and turn into a Worgen. So it's going to be a dangerous lineup. I like this
Yeah.
Greymane pick. I really like this Greymane pick. I
You,
guess it's.
you
Sorry,
guess
go
what?
ahead. I just say I'm guessing they're gonna really, this Tyrande player is gonna have to do a good job of keeping everyone alive. And a big
Yeah, that's exactly what
problem.
I was going to say.
Yeah,
The solo Tyrande heal can work, but there is a lot of burst, or there can be a lot of burst between Jaina and Falstad and Butcher. Oh my gosh! So, man, this
Okay.
Tyrande may be hard pressed. They're really going to have to either start the fight out with some really good poke, or they're going to have to get the engage and blow somebody up first. Because if one of their people gets engaged upon, Tyrande is not going to be able to keep them up.
I I don't even know what to say about that Butcher last pick, TBK. I feel like he is running into a nightmare with the Tyrande mark.
Yeah.
Greymane can choose to go face, or he can just stand back and poke. Sonya, Li Ming, like so much damage. So I'm really worried about it, but I like it. Like I like that we're seeing something here that like it's a bit off color to have Butcher, but
It's
it's not incredibly weird. Like it's not like some of the games we've cast where there's like, all right, like we got a hammer in here, and like it's not
you've
crazy, but
got
it's weird.
you've got the ancestral to help keep him up, but you don't have that tertiary support like a Tassadar or like that divine shield to really make him super scary.
Can I
So,
can I point something out, TBK?
yes.
We do have the potential for the old Navi special of Lamb to the Slaughter plus Gust.
Gust. It's true. And honestly, just looking at this comp, I don't think that would be a horrible idea. Because
actually
they
really
don't
like it.
have a ton to protect the Butcher by himself, and he can get burned down pretty quick if he
Yeah,
gets
so-
focused on.
So instead of
Especially
going
without
Furnace
that
Blast-
shield. Exactly.
Yeah.
So instead of going for that Furnace Blast and the super all-in, you land to the slaughter Li Ming or Sonya or Tyrande or Greymane, gust everybody else back, and then boom, one person is gone.
Literally anybody except Johanna.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
any of those people, if you can hit them with Lamb to the Slaughter and Gust the rest of their team away, they're gonna die before their team gets back. So I really like this, and I hope we see it. If we don't see it, if we see Furnace Blast, I am worried about the Butcher's ability to survive initial bursts. I'm very worried.
I don't feel like he will be able to against, especially with the Tyrande Greymane Li Ming. Because if the Tyrande throws her mark on him, he's gone. Before
Yeah.
really he even gets to anybody to mark them and start healing off of it.
I think the thing we can definitely agree on here is that the Butcher, if he's going to go Furnace Blast and he's going to go for more of that face ragey type playstyle, he's going to need another threat to
Mhm.
make sure that he is not the only thing charging into the enemy team.
Yep.
Thankfully, I think they have that. They could provide a Jaina flank. They could have Falstad fly and gust some people.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of options on their team to enable Butcher, but if he is the only one running into that enemy team, like I worry for his safety for sure.
Yeah. I completely agree. So we'll just have to kind of see how it's played out. We're going to keep an eye on those ults, though, when they come, because the ults that are picked are going to really shape how this game is going to turn out post 10.
Yeah, no, definitely, and I think honestly, I know that Disintegrate is just like the hotness and everybody loves it, but with this composition, I could even see like Wave of Force from Li Ming. So
Yeah, it's possible. I don't see it a lot, but it's possible.
yeah,
Okay, over on the Miss Lethal side, we have Galor98 on Tyrande, Soylad on Johanna, Sassyport on Sonya, Swagex Lithium on Li Ming, and Elfinary on Greymane.
and on the side of Valar Morghulis, we have Burger987 on Falstad, Hysteria on Jaina, Cavogeta on the Butcher, Below Zero on Murden, who probably should be playing Arthas,
Yep.
and Forever Zero on Rhaegar. So
We have below 0 and then forever 0. Now we just need above 0. It must be a sub or must have been sick or something today.
Yeah, it's definitely not above 0 where I am, so that might be the issue.
Li Ming with the nice find, a huge orb going in and hitting 3 of them right off the bat.
Yeah, and Butcher thankfully canceled that charge as he was going to die if he went in.
It's a smart decision. We've got top and bottom lanes already going for the 4 really in the middle right now.
Yeah, they're probably going to rotate between the two, although it's weird because Sonya's alone top, Falstad alone bottom, so...
Well, I mean, I guess they're just splitting the difference. Big rotation down to attack Falstad. He should be fine. He's got that barrel roll. It's going to be really hard to get a gank off on him.
Yeah, and Sonya actually being pressured in the top here. Butcher, but no, they're not going to get that kill. Meanwhile, Rhaegar just trying to hold on to this lane mid on his own, but Li Ming doing so much damage to that.
Look at that siege damage, and the first tower already gone.
Yeah, so...
I shouldn't act surprised.
I know.
It's just, I mean, hashtag Li Ming things.
It is surprising, even though we see it so often. And in the bottom, wow, Falstad loses over half of his health to an orb and missile combo.
Good lord.
Yeah, it's a lot, and he is not going to be able to take that shrine.
Nope. Like they're going to be content just to split things.
Jaina has to be careful in this top lane because Sonya does have the potential to 1v1 her, and that is the situation right now.
Yep.
Although Butcher is rotating up, and there's actually going to find the Sonya. They're going to go hard on it and maybe see if they can stop her. She's taking so much damage. The Blizzard goes out, and wow, just enough.
Beautiful Blizzard. The Butcher onslaught was key there because Jaina's initial Frostbolt missed, so she didn't get the slow off. But because the Butcher stunned Sonya, she was able to get that extra stun, or the extra slow, and finish the kill off.
Yeah, no, Miss Lethal actually hits for slightly ahead of Valar Morghulis. Nothing too crazy coming out yet. Mostly a cocktail build coming out for Greymane.
Yeah, Falstad's going to have to get some sort of support before they can take that down bottom. I do like the Snowstorm. I've always said I love the Snowstorm build, and Owl build out of Tyrande.
Good heads-up play from the Falstad here to realize that the enemy team is on the map and visible. So he's going to cap the shrine. He just needs to make sure he doesn't get caught out here, but he's playing pretty safe for the moment.
Yep.
And Murden trying to cap the Dragon Knight in the middle, getting pressured a little bit by Greymane and Johanna.
Like you said, there's a lot of poke on Miss Lethal, so it's going to be really, really hard for them to take something when one of these members is up.
And certainly Rhaegar and Murden are not the best team to try and force an enemy away from the middle. So
no.
Butcher taking a lot of damage in the top, gets hit by an orb. Very little health left. The magic missiles don't finish it off. Jaina blocks the orb. Yes. MVP.
Yeah, Hysteria doing a fantastic job knowing that orb. Oh, the owl! The owl almost kills him.
Wow.
Gotta be careful when you're backing with a Tyrande.
Yeah, and Butcher actually taking Cheap Shot. I guess there's not really a standard competitive build for Butcher, but I don't think Cheap Shot is part of it if it does exist. So interesting selection. And Falstad going auto attack.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, that actually makes a lot of sense when you have a Jaina, because there's so much innate slow, because everything she does basically applies a slow. So he's going to get a lot of use out of that, I think. Nice stun by Tyrande, a lot of damage going out into Falstad, but he is going to be able to get away.
So kind of a missed opportunity from Valar Morghulis. They knew that Miss Lethal was pushing the bottom shrine. They aren't in a position now to retake this top, and they're forced to just stand in the middle and poke it.
Yep. Because Rhaegar's not going to really be able to deal with Sonya right now.
No, he is not, and he is actually spotted by that owl also, so he has to be careful here. Meanwhile, in the middle, the brawl is continuing. Just a little bit of poke, like we said, between Greymane and Li Ming. Tons of poke on the side of Miss Lethal.
Yeah. Rhaegar manages to kind of half-cap that so far, but nah, he's not going to be able to contest with that Sonya. Looks like Jaina is going to rotate up to help him out.
Falstad in the bottom lane trying to duel this Tyrande and just not having a good time with it, unfortunately. Normally a fight he could probably win.
Oh, Blizzard goes down. Nice Ancient Spear onto Jaina, and she's going to pop with that orb.
And at the same time, in the bottom lane, Greymane rotated in and helped to kill Falstad. So at this point, Miss Lethal, there are only 3 opponents on the map, and they look for them to try and push a Dragon Knight now.
Yeah. Butcher came up to try and help, but he's taking a lot of damage himself, and it looks like Muradin is the sole person stopping the channel, and it looks like Greymane's probably going to get this one.
Yeah, and they do pick that up.
First Dragon Knight going to Mist Lethal.
And
they've actually got some work done already in this middle.
Yeah, it was actually a really great play by them to get the Dragon Knight, because they took advantage of the fact that Valar Morghulis was just kind of in lane. They weren't moving around, and the rotation really came in too late from them. As a result, Miss Lethal rotating the bottom and top, getting 1 kill in each lane. So, good job.
Yeah, Elfenari really not getting a whole lot of work done out of this Dragon Knight. Valar Morghulis has really surrounded him, and his health is dropping fast.
The Butcher charge comes in. He is so slowed by everything hitting him. Jaina, Butcher. He is actually going to get away if he chooses to do so, but actually goes back into heal for his Johanna. And that, like you said, not a lot of mileage from that.
No, that was basically more of a deny. Like, they didn't even get that tower up in the middle. It's still barely hanging on by the skin of its shattered rocks.
And on the other hand, we do have 10 now from Miss Lethal. We do have Shadowstalk, Blessed Shield, Wrath of the Berserker, it is Disintegrate, and Go for the Throat for Greymane, which is very interesting because we do see that most of the time. However, he is all cocktail build.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised to see marked for the kill.
Yeah.
And wow, Falstad actually caught out in the bottom lane here. Disintegrate goes out. Butcher does take Furnace Blast, tries to peel.
Oh,
it completely whiffs. Oh my, TBK.
Gus comes out, but he just misses Johanna, and that is a lethal mistake. We do have ults now on the side of Valar Morghulis, though, and it is the Furnace Blast, so we're not going to see a Gus lamb to the slaughter there, Josh.
I am really worried about Cabaget Butcher, because we just saw exactly why Furnace Blast is such a hard pick against this team. Li Ming just... Oh, wow. Actually, in the top, Jaina gets... Again, the Li Ming damage is so real. Water Elemental almost kills Sonya, but she's going to get away. What I wanted to say was that Li Ming can just teleport out of that Furnace Blast.
Yep.
At the last second, and there's nothing the Butcher can do about it, really. So...
I mean, Li Ming's even apologizing for that kill.
I see that, and I'm not...
Butcher
really
getting so low. Blessed Shield did come out, but he was just behind the wall, and that's kind of a wasted ult.
Yeah, I'm really worried for this Butcher, DBK. It's
there is a lot against him right now.
I mean, a perfectly timed Furnace Blast might hit a Li Ming, but if Teleport is up, she's probably not going to get hit by it. So
Miss Lethal now a good level ahead. They are a talent tier ahead as well with their 13 talents. Of course, we do have Overflowing Light coming out of Tyrande. Not surprising since she is the solo healer.
Glass Cannon from Li Ming.
Wow. So this Li Ming's feeling pretty good.
I think she has reason to feel pretty good because so
Yeah.
far she has just been doing a ton of damage, and the Butcher, I honestly don't think that Furnace Blast represents a big threat. So, and she agrees, I
No.
guess. And in the bottom here, Valar Morghulis may be looking to take the Shrine. They don't have their tank or healer with them.
Yeah, Rhaegar quick capped the top, seeing that everybody else is bottom. Butcher does charge. Furnace Blast goes out onto Greymane, but unfortunately, this is the problem with Butcher. He was in way too far. There was no tank to back him up, and he and Falstad end up going down.
Yeah, the Li Ming realized quickly what was happening and came down, just unloaded the resets, so much damage, and at this point again, Miss Lethal in a position where they could probably get this Dragon Knight without too much of a fight.
Yep. 2 members down on the side of Valar Morghulis. Tirana can kind of block for Greymane, and that's exactly what she did. Everyone was too scared. Jaina taking a lot of damage, has to throw down that Blizzard to kind of disengage things a little bit, but the Dragon's going for a fort.
Oh, look at this Li Ming. Just hanging out, knows Jaina's low health. Oh, and wow, through the wall, Disintegrate Orb missiles onto the Muradin. So much damage. I love that aggressive positioning, TPK.
Yeah, no, that's an absolutely awesome placement because she knows she's completely safe, but she has vision of everybody, and all of her abilities have such long range that it just makes sense.
And unlike the first Dragon Knight that we saw, this one is actually getting a lot of mileage. It's pushing bottom. Just now, Valar Morghulis is rotating in.
Yeah, and Sonya's doing a great job top. Yeah, splitting that.
Wrath of the Berserker is so good for split pushing. You get a lot of mileage out of it because you can constantly attack. And now in the bottom, Miss Lethal, the Dragon Knight taking a lot of damage. Valar Morghulis about to be down a talent here, so they need to be careful.
Yeah, Sonya's still doing work completely uncontested in that top lane. All of Valar Morghulis is down bottom to try and stop this push, but Sonya is such a good pusher on her own. Like you said, with that Wrath of Berserker, she's just making mincemeat of those buildings.
Yeah, and now Johanna looking for the re-engage as Li Ming throws Disintegrate out. Murden gets hit by the flare, the missiles, oh wow.
Oh my gosh.
Just so much damage from this Li Ming. Very, very good job getting this kill shot. The gust from Falstad goes in, but actually his team is very low health. It wasn't really that helpful. Ancestral hits Butcher and Greymane falls.
Yeah, we did it. Tyrande and Greymane were able to fall, but look, this Li Ming is just cleaning up. They're going to have to be so careful. Everyone is extremely low. That was a ballsy gust, Josh.
It was. It was. And actually, Sonya so far forward, going to pay with her life here. Oh, wow. On the other hand, Jaina almost dies. Ice blocks just to be safe. I like it.
Yeah.
Conservative play.
No, that was... Her picking up Ice Block at 13 was an extremely good idea. And honestly, if you think about it, because of that team fight, Valar Morghulis is almost caught up. They're only a half level behind talent tier-wise, and really all they lost out of that was that top 4.
Yeah, they actually had a great team fight. The Butcher Furnace Blast got a ton of mileage, and Rhaegar was there with the Ancestral.
Yeah, it just happened that... And I mean, they could have timed this. They absolutely could have timed this. Butcher turned the Furnace Blast on, Falstad gusted, and the gust was mostly back into that Furnace Blast. So even though Valar Morghulis had most of their characters low, the Furnace Blast did work by hitting several people, and that gave them the health advantage they needed.
Yeah, it honestly, when the gust first went out, I was very afraid for Valar Morghulis, but like you said, the Furnace Blast...
oh my gosh!
That is
the chunking.
That
was a single Disintegrate or magic missiles, reducing Butcher to like 1/10 of his health.
That is disgusting. Wow. I don't know what to say. I can't describe it any other way. It's an incredible amount of damage.
Valar Morghulis with a big push on top. Shrines are back up. They're going to go ahead and cap that top one. And they've got a nice wave up top. They see Johanna down bottom. They don't have a fort to worry about. This is definitely a good time for them to push.
Yeah, they actually have really no choice because they lost their bottom fort just now to a mercenary camp. When they chose to all go top, that was like they accepted that basically as a consequence. And now they're just going to push us 5 here, try and get in here. They have the last little mage from their mercenary camp that's doing a little bit of work, but not a lot. And they're now afraid. They see that Miss Lethal is missing. And
yeah.
so you can see they're wondering, hey, where are these guys? And they're about to find them in the mid, but I don't think there's really any way for them to get a pick. Yeah, it's enough
Man,
separation between
Josh, I'm not gonna lie. I would like to see somebody sent to Hogwarts tonight.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely possible. Like, there's, like you said, a lot of Owl Talents. Ranger was picked up at 16 by Tyrande, so it's definitely possible. And this is a big map, so
It can happen.
Yeah, you can get a lot of damage from the extra distance traveled. In the bottom here, Valar Morghulis, they kept the shrine, but wow, Falstad takes so much damage. And he does just to save his own life, but Butcher actually just going on the Li Ming. Furnace Blast does connect. Li Ming's so low. And
finally
Sonya,
killed her.
Yes, ooh, Blast Shield hits everybody, TBK.
Yeah, and this is just a huge fight. Beautiful Lunar Flare by Tyrande. The Ancestral is just a little too late, and now Muradin is going to lose his life. Oh no, he doesn't! He has the Dwarf Toss. The Owl just barely missing him.
And Ancestral is still available because it did not connect, so it's back off cooldown now. It goes on like a short cooldown when it fails like that.
I'm not going to lie, I'm very surprised that Muradin survived.
It looked like he was going to die,
At the same time, this gives Miss Lethal a huge advantage. They were able to push them back, even though their Li Ming died. 2 members from Valar Morghulis died, and they all were very low health and had to retreat, which gave Miss Lethal a very easy Dragon Knight.
And now they're going to use that Dragon Knight to get to level 20, at which point it's going to be very difficult for Valar Morghulis to even have a team fight. So, it's gonna be a tough road. They should be able to get a keep with this. Well, Falstad flies in, Dangerous Gust and Shadowstalk as the response. Really nothing out of that yet.
No. The problem was his team was not in position yet for that Gust. Jaina forced to use Ice Block. Sonya turning around, so much damage going out. Pops her shield, and it's just gonna be fine. So like blizzards don't bother me. Oh, and another missed Ancestral from that Butcher. The Butcher just so squishy, and the Disintegrate, the Li Ming damage is just real.
So I said that they were at least going to get a keep, but at this point they could actually end the game. Li Ming just unloading. Lunar Flare connects. No kill on Muradin, but it was close, and they're debating it. They're thinking about it.
10 seconds left on this Dragon Knight. There's only Muradin and Rhaegar up. They don't have the damage to push this off. They most definitely could do this.
Yeah, this is game, and an exciting game indeed, as we saw the true power of Li Ming.
Oh my gosh.
In every one of those team fights, it seemed like she was an unstoppable force.
Yes.
And Valar Morghulis did not possess an immovable object to counter that. So, scary.
I mean, technically Butcher is their immovable object, but unfortunately he was blown up.
Yeah, he
beforehand.
Honestly, that last Ancestral that missed on Butcher, I actually want to give props to Forever Zero for even starting the Ancestral, because that was an insane amount of burst. Like, his reaction time was actually pretty good.
Because he actually cast that when Butcher was probably at 3/4 or more health, anticipating it.
Yeah, and so good on him to even attempt to cast it, because like Butcher was not in the midst of dying when he started casting it, but he correctly predicted that he soon would be.
Yeah.
So well done.
I think I need to give major props to Swag X Lithium. His Li Ming was just incredible.
Would you say it's swag?
Swag.
Would you say that his Li Ming was swag?
I would not.
Okay, fair.
I'm gonna say incredible.
Incredible.
I honestly, if you looked at where he was throughout the game, what am I trying to say? He played in a way that you could learn from his positioning. If you look at every team fight, he only died once. Every team fight, he was exactly where he needed to be, positioned to where he wouldn't hit any minions to make sure the orbs and the missiles came out at the exact same time, both going to the same targets. He knew exactly where he wanted to shoot. He hid behind terrain and used that Disintegrate, picked off people from afar. I mean, it was just super impressive Li Ming play.
And the one time that he did die, I want to just... I'm pretty sure it was mid lane. Butcher used Furnace Blast and went all in and died, killing him. So like
Yes.
maybe not 100% his fault. Like in that situation, obviously you never want to die, but if a butcher decides that he's gonna all in you, there's a good chance that you're gonna die if you're a squishy Liming with glass cannon and your only healer is a Tyrande.
Yeah.
So
And I mean,
good play from him for sure.
just look at the hero damage too. 56,000 in
Unbelievable.
16 and a half minutes. The next person is half that.
Yeah, and I think you said it right about him using Triumvirate well, which, for those of you who may not know, if an Arcane Orb hits an enemy hero after traveling at least 2/3 of its base range, it reduces the cooldown of that orb by 6 seconds. Now, there is a bug with that talent where if it hits a minion or a structure, that effect doesn't happen. So the talent is bugged as it stands, or perhaps some would argue that it's just mislabeled, but either way, Li Ming got a lot of like mileage out of that talent specifically
Yes.
because Butcher was so far ahead of his team all the time. So there's
Yeah.
no minions around. like
And
like
not only that, she did end up taking Astral Presence as her level 1 talent as well, which means that's one of the reasons she was able to spam so much there at the end.
yeah, it was a frightening prospect for that Butcher. They
Yeah.
must feel comfortable with the pick, and that's the reason why.
Mhm.
But like I said, I thought it was a tough road, and it ended up being uh, just a
Yeah, Butcher is super hard to play these days unless you have something like Ethereal Sanctification or an Uther Divine Shield that you can back it up with.
yeah.
Because if you can give that Butcher that Divine Shield time he needs to do the insane amount of damage and then live afterwards and then chase down the remaining people, he can be very effective. But unfortunately, the teams that was set up against him just neutered most of his strengths.
Yeah, I think that's a good summary of what we saw. It like I said, I could have seen maybe Lambda the Slaughter Gust, but
I would have
it,
liked to have seen that.
yeah, I
Honestly, I
think
would have
it could
liked
have
to
been
have seen that.
effective. I think it could have been effective against this team, certainly more so than Furnace Blast, in my opinion. But again, that's also a setup that requires like good coordination. The
Oh
Butcher has
yeah,
to reliably be able to hit the target that the team wants, and the Fall Set has to be ready to gust. And oftentimes, you don't want to gust like right away. You want to get some
yeah,
damage in on the target and then gust so that the healer is not able to follow up on that.
yep,
So
exactly.
I mean, it didn't work out this time for Valar Morghulis, but I like that they pulled out the Butcher. I thought it had potential with the right heroic setup, but like you said, like we just unfortunately never saw that. He just got chunked down by that Li Ming.
Yeah. Well, good job to both teams. GG as
Yeah.
well to Miss Lethal. They did a great job.
Yeah, and that Tyrande actually pulled a substantial amount of her team's damage load in addition to being primary healer.
Yeah, she did.
So I like
I
it.
mean, she did primarily go owl build.
Yep, yep, and it worked out.
So yeah, I do love seeing the owl build out of Sharonda. It is a really fun build to see. All right, guys. Well, we are going to